when you walked in today and you said, "Is it bad if my whole left side's numb?"
Yeah.
Are you concerned about your heart?
Always. I am always concerned about my heart. Not that it drives every thought during the day, but anytime there's an ache or I'm always kind of like.
Yeah. You ever think about? You don't think about that.
No.
I have one little pain in my arm, and I'm like, it's my left arm.
Here we go.
God.
Here's the big one.
Greg just thinks about his 31-inch waist. He doesn't think. He doesn't.
You know, it's.
Do you guys ever? It's interesting because every time there's a tingle, and if you go to WebMD, it's either Parkinson's or it's Alzheimer's or the other one, Lou Gehrig's.
Yep.
Andrew Simpson is the CEO of HeartSciences. Their ticker symbol is HSCS. This is interesting because there is a diagnostic gap in cardiac care. And it's interesting because we've talked about this before, but we're talking about early detection of heart disease. Could there be a better news for Mike as he's dipping his Funyuns into mayo? And maybe it's too late. Andrew, thanks for coming back, man. Good to see you.
Thanks, Sully. Good to be here.
Can you talk to us? Is early diagnostics is that the 5G of the medical world? Like they say it's going to be there, but it's really not there. Or could it be a reality?
It's very much becoming a reality. So basically making the ECG do a lot more using artificial intelligence so it becomes a way more valuable tool is now absolutely categorically scientifically proven that can work. The FDA has already now put in place a new care pathway for this, so the FDA recognized it. The American Medical Association have put in place reimbursement codes. So this is beginning to come down the pike. This is absolutely about to be used in mainstream care.
Andrew, we're talking about a device here, correct?
Well, we're actually aiming to do both a device and a software-based solution, which means you could apply these algorithms to any ECG that exists around the world, as well as having our own device, which is perfect for kind of frontline primary care physicians who don't want a complex IT architecture.
So, Andrew, give us an example of a standard patient and what that patient experience would be, and what we're offering them versus what we have now.
Okay, so it's an ECG. So if anybody's had an ECG, also known as an EKG in the US, where you put electrodes on a patient's chest, it's exactly the same. In fact, it is that test. So, 10, 20 seconds, electrode patches. But the challenge with a conventional ECG is it misses most forms of heart disease because it only picks up heart disease very, very late in the process. You want to be treated early, not late. Whereas applying machine learning to the ECG electrical signal, you can now make it see a lot more forms of disease and a lot earlier.
And if I'm not mistaken, congestive heart failure, which is the worst part, you have just a few minutes, and if you don't detect that early, you're done. Heart attack is another story, but isn't it about detection of heart attack early? Because as you said, ECG, that's real time. You're in the it's recording data of what's happening right now, correct?
Yeah. Look, a heart attack is the end result of having heart disease, and that could be from blocked arteries. It could be you've got valve issues, but that is the end outcome, that your heart has just kind of had enough, so it backs in, it can't cope anymore. Whereas if you can detect whether somebody's got early blockages in their arteries, or they've got valve issues before they show up as a heart attack or an enlarged heart, all of those kind of issues you can now see through an ECG. And the reason why that's super important is historically this has only been possible in a cardiologist's environment using cardiac imaging. Well, that's very expensive. It's not possible to screen people in a cardiology environment. That's a treatment environment or a diagnostic environment. The ECG is what? A $20 test. It takes 5 minutes to perform. You can do it in a frontline healthcare environment. So making that a way more valuable test means you can screen people.
Andrew Simpson, the CEO of HeartSciences, their ticker symbol is HSCS. Andrew, for a guy like me, where gravy is considered a food group.
Or blood type.
Or blood type. What you're working with, does that take the place, or does it augment somebody who would go into a doctor's office, like, and get a stress test done just to see where they are as far as heart health is concerned?
Yeah, like much like I wear a blood glucose monitor only because I don't have diabetes, but I do it because it keeps me from eating something bad, because I know if I eat it bad, it's going to spike. So I just don't, it's gamification. It's sort of, is that the type of thing we're talking about here? It's almost, it'll give you, it allows you to change your behavior ahead of time, or is it just simply diagnostic metrics that are being gathered?
Well, it is going to tell you whether you've got heart disease, but do it much earlier and allow it to be done in a frontline healthcare, like a primary care environment, and simply. So if you can pick somebody up early in heart disease, there's no reason why they should ever have a heart attack. And actually, if you pick up early enough, you can reverse it. But statins can help. Monitoring people's blood pressure, figuring out whether it's high cholesterol that's causing an issue.
Well, it's always about early detection, is what you're saying.
Exactly. You pick it up early, and there's no reason why somebody should ever have a heart attack.
So
and that's the real challenge. Is once a heart attack is basically part of the heart dies. You can never recover that.
So Andrew, what age would somebody want to do this, and would you do it if you had a history of heart disease in your family, bad life decisions? What kinds of things would make someone, you turn 30 and think, I probably should check this out now, or feeling numbness in your arm, or what are the kinds of things why people would want to do this diagnostic test?
Yeah, well, look, ultimately this is for a doctor to prescribe and to decide who should be doing it. But typically it would be somebody who's got, some kind of risk factors, family history, they're overweight. But instead of your doctor only taking those risk factors into account, they can now, run you on an ECG. And look, today, because it's the only thing that's available in frontline healthcare, despite all the limitations, the ECG today, there's over 100 million of them performed in the US. Wouldn't you rather those 100 million have got way more diagnostic value, and they can identify a much broader range of heart disease? So, these are already taking place. And I liken it to, if you're a golfer, you might want to use a sand iron out of a bunker. But if all you have is a 5-iron, then you need to use a 5-iron. Well, if you're a doctor and all you have is the conventional ECG, because that's the only thing you've got, you still run it today. Whereas this suddenly gives the physician a bag of golf clubs.
No, that makes sense. And by the way, it's called the HeartSciences MyoVista, and it uses AI. Where are we at along the arc of the story with the FDA?
So we're extremely close to an FDA submission. That would be in the next few months. So we've spent a long period of time, solid many years. Device is fully developed. All the hardware testing's taking place. We're having one final kind of powwow with the FDA on some kind of technical stuff, and then we expect a submission in the next couple of months, well, probably 3 or 4 months.
Hey, Andrew, I was wondering what the percentages are for women getting heart disease as much as men.
Asking for a friend. But.
Yeah, I mean, I do have moments where I'm like, my left arm. But then I also think, it's more a male issue, but I don't think that it is.
No, it's a big issue for women. I mean, in terms of proportion, I think there's a slightly bigger proportion of women have the issue. And the challenge for ladies is that they often suffer from microvascular disease, which is actually harder to spot, and they suffer in silence more, apparently. So women tend to have more cardiac issues, and it can be more fatal for them, but often that's because they don't get identified early enough.
Yeah, and they don't suffer in silence either. His name is Andrew Simpson. Andrew Simpson is the CEO of HeartSciences. Andrew, will you come back? This is something that we need to unpack in this short interview. It doesn't give us the time to do it, but I have to tell you, if there was a device that could, I will tell you, this blood glucose monitor, meant for diabetes, right? Mm-hmm. I wear it because it prevents me from going, should I have or should I do this? And I swear,
it's your life coach.
Yep. Well, it's only because you gave me fun. I think if people knew it earlier, maybe Mike, you'd stop, maybe get up on the couch, maybe have a salad, maybe stop dipping everything in mayo. Andrew, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Andrew,
maybe quit eating horizontally.
Mike just eats out of a Frisbee. He just leaves it right here. A Frisbee just scoops it in.